Have you ever heard of Lake Titicaca or the mysteries surrounding this place? Welcome to Peculiar Occurrences. Let's take a look into this ancient place and unravel the mystery behind this peculiar occurrence. Lake Titicaca, an ancient lake, which straddles the borders of Peru and Bolivia. The lake is about 12,500 feet deep. One of the deepest lakes in the world that can be navigated by large ships. Called the roof of the world and thought to be the birthplace of the Inca culture. There are 41 islands in the lake, and some are inhabited. It also has a man-built island, built by natives that predated the Inca. These were amazing floating homes built by the natives to isolate themselves from warring factions. The man-made islands themselves, along with the boats that they use to get to the islands, is made of reed. Which, if you don't know, reed will not sink. Even if broken into pieces, the parts will just float. These days, the floating islanders do let tourists visit in order to make money. The island of the sun is thought to be the birthplace of the first Inca leader, Manco Capac. It is also thought that one of their gods, Viracocha, lived there. The Incas somehow also knew the exact shape of the lake, which could only be seen from a high altitude. Ancient Inca legend says that after the Great Flood, the creator god, Viracocha, emerged from the lake and commanded the sun, the moon, and the stars to all rise. Then he was said to have created man out of stone, and then he told them to go out and populate the world. Viracocha did not look like the Inca people. He was fair-skinned and long beard. He was thought to have brought the ancient people a very enriched culture. Due to all of this, the Inca people believed Lake Titicaca to be the center of the universe, and that when they died, their souls would return there. Manco Capac emerged from one of the 3 openings in the mountain, Titicaca. Even though Manco Capac has been mentioned in several chronicles, his actual existence is still unclear. It is unknown if he is a true man of history or a myth of religion. Either way, a lot of golden artifacts have been found at the bottom of this lake that proves an ancient, advanced civilization did inhabit this area. Some even believe that the lost city of Atlantis itself could be sitting at the bottom of Lake Titicaca. The Inca Empire was once thought to be one of the greatest empires of all of the Americas. In the year 2000, in the year 2000, in the year 2000, in the year 2000, a huge temple was found under the water of Lake Titicaca. After divers followed a submerged road, after 18 days of diving, scientists announced that they had discovered 660-foot long, 160-foot wide temple with a terrace for crops and a 2,060-foot containing wall, along with gold and statues. It is said by locals that the temple was covered up by the Great Flood, and that its existence has been passed down by mouth through story from generation to generation. Now near the lake are towers called chupa towers. This chupa is thought to have been built by the Wada culture, the culture that predates the Inca. and it was thought to have been built for burial purposes since bones were found inside. This is another Chupa Tower, which scientists think were built by the Inca, but yet the stones are very finely cut, as if cut by power tools. The outside is made of bath salts, but the inside is made of diorite and andesite. There also seems to be some weird magnetic field around this chupa that seems to affect compasses. Some people believe that this chupa is actually an ancient lost technology that had something to do with generating electricity or energy of some sort. Now, I would like you to meet Brian Forrester. He has an honors Bachelor's of Science degree according to the University of Virginia Biological Sciences Department. Let's watch a very small clip from him, and then I would like to share a thought.
Energetic. So what you're looking at is a Chupa Tower where half of it has been removed. Now most people are going to say that it was the the Spanish who did that they were tearing it apart for construction, but it's more likely, having been here many times, that actually this is a sign of an ancient explosion, that these were sonic resonating towers, and that there was an action that happened thousands of years ago that caused it, at least the outer part, to explode and to throw the exterior off in this direction. Now the explosion seems to have happened from east or east-northeast out this way, but we're going to test with other ones and see if that's the case. The outer area is made out of basalt, but the inner core is made out of a diorite or andesite material. The andesite is much denser than the exterior, and this clay possibly was some kind of insulating material. So rather than this being a funeral tower, this could have in fact been an ancient energy generator or storage devices. So you see, this one has been recreated. Maybe half of it was intact. And so foolishly they've added this clay to fill in. This was done 2 years ago. But the cracks are evidence of something more than simply weight on top of weight. Another curious thing about these towers is that they taper upwards. They get wider as you go up, which is not a smart building practice in the modern day, the way we build buildings. Also the band that's around it, and you can see at the very top the way that it curves in. Oops, like that. So Christopher Dunn, the engineer, has a theory that these possibly were like pipes, or that the energy or sound was coming upwards. And his idea, I believe, is that these were actual earthquake or energy relieving chambers.
Inside there's like almost like a spiral rock protrusion of stairway leading to the top, or almost to the top, and it looks like there's a square hatch right in the middle at the top. And so that much of it must be hollow, or there must be something in there, because I mean it looks like a stone door. It's a door, square door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So what you're looking at now is the debris field from a massive square one, which is here. So again, it's unlikely that this was manually taken apart, but could have been the result of a massive explosion in the distant past. If these were energy structures, capacitors, or generators, the system could have overloaded at some point, and then the whole thing, or the whole series, exploded to different degrees.
Now, what intrigues me about what he's saying here is that the middle is made of diorite. Diorite was a very, very rare material. Any who possessed it could have become a very rich person. Militaries around the world would dedicate entire voyages just to find it. Now, it does not make sense to me if Spain had torn it down to reuse it as building materials. Exactly why would they leave all that rich dynamite behind? They would have killed for that stockpile. Dynamite is formed from cool volcanic lava that never made it to the surface. This gives me my own theory. Hopefully I pronounced this correctly, but there is a volcano nearby named Uranus? I hope that's the name. Uranus is just one of a lot of volcanoes that dot the desert plateau east of Lake Titicaca. As a matter of fact, the area near there is the Andes, which is known as a central volcanic zone. Now, I agree with Brian Foster that this really does look like an explosion had happened. The way the wall looks like it's been blown outward, and the material that was supposedly taken off to use as building material is actually laying on the ground around the pillar. What if this was actually constructed to somehow tap into a volcanic root to utilize the lava in some way for energy? Or perhaps to cover an ancient lava geyser. Perhaps they had experienced death before from an eruption and was looking for a way to try to contain any sort of eruption that could have happened from a geyser. Or they could have had a pit of open lava, which would have been more prevalent back then. Perhaps they decided to try to build something around some sort of pit of lava to secure it, which, if this thing started out with some sort of cover over the top, this would have made pressure build up within it, which would have caused an explosion. Physics. The lava that got stuck in there then, over time, would have turned to dynamite, which would explain why when Spain came, they didn't take it. It hadn't turned to dynamite yet. That's only my hypothesis, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. I would really suggest Brian Forrester's videos if you would like to watch someone explore Lake Titicaca and the areas surrounding Lake Titicaca. I find his videos quite fascinating, and his different takes from what he finds in the area. From underground tunnels to underwater construction sites, artifacts, a belief in ancient lost tech, and so much more. I'll leave his link in my description box below. Check him out. There is so much to be found at Lake Titicaca. I can make a dozen videos on this subject alone, and I probably will make some future videos on some of the surrounding areas. But I thought this was a great place to start. I do want to mention that scientists have found that Lake Titicaca is actually starting to dry up due to global warming. In 2009, it reached its lowest levels that Peru had seen in over 60 years. The shoreline lowering by 2 to 3 centimeters per week, which is not much, but it adds up over time. The rain season there has also been cut in half. Millions of people depend on this lake and have already started to feel the consequences of it drying up, with farmers having to move cattle due to the places where the cattle used to drink drying up. The lack of rain is not the only thing hurting Lake Titicaca. Scientists say that the ice glacier that feeds Lake Titicaca is starting to melt away and could fully disappear in the next 40 years. It is already so bad that some of the nearby cities has already resorted to water rationing. If something is not done soon, we could possibly see this lake disappear. So what do you think about this peculiar occurrence? Let me know down in the comments below. Would you like to see more about the sites surrounding Lake Titicaca? If you would, give this video a thumbs up. Well, that's all for this time, and if you like this or me, then hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell button so you know when I upload. And until next time, keep your eyes peeled for all things peculiar. My merch store is now online. You can find shirts, coffee mugs, iPhone cases, pillows, and much, much more. If you would like to help support the creator, look for my link down in the description box below. Thank you.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.